to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, what gender, you can make an amazing life for yourself in sales. And today's guest is definitely no stranger to that journey. I'd like to welcome Angela Thomas to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me here, and hello to all of your community. I'm very fine, and I'm very happy to be here.
I love it. I want to jump right in. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
Oh, I have many crazy sales stories because I started my journey already when I was 5 years old to sell. I grew up in the bakery of my grandparents, and there I always saw my auntie how she sold the cake, and even in the end of the day. When the cake was not the freshest anymore, she wanted to sell it, and then she throw fresh sugar on it to make it really look very sprinklish. And then it just was actually the start of my sales journey. And all over my whole life, I was actually taught that if I am able to sell, then it's something very benefiting. So in my first young years, when I fell in love with my first almost husband, unfortunately he died in a car accident, but we was in a political situation in Germany where I grew up, where everybody was, when the wall came down, trying to save their money, and so a lot of people was actually buying something. And I don't know if you know, guys, this guild of marktschreiers, where they sit on an lorry and make kind of a show and throw bananas around. And that's when I started actually to have my professional sales journey. And there was a lot of incidents with that, and a lot of stories. But fast forwarding a lot more years, I opened up my own business. And after I got myself again together, I wanted to become, or having actually, a beauty studio, not because I was so much into beauty by nature, but I thought it was a cool business concept. So I was having actually, all kind of things to promote this. It was on the countryside, and I had one day a guy who called, and he asked, "Do you have also French pedicure?" And I said, "Yes, yes, I do French pedicure." For all those who doesn't know what's French pedicure is, this is like kind of natural, kind of a nail style with a cute little white stripe in the end of the nails. So he was keep asking, "Do you have actually French pedicure?" And I said, "Yeah, yes, I have French pedicure. If you want to book an appointment for maybe your spouse, or this is so kind of you." And then he says, "No, no, no. I wanted to ask if you have actually French pedicure." I was like, "Yes, I have French pedicure. What? No, 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 no. I mean, do you have it?" I said, "Yes, yes, I also have it." So he wanted to ask it. I said, I know what is actually, me as a salesperson trying to have a lot of questions to find out what's the really need, because in the very first beginning of my entrepreneurship with this business, I wanted to really have everybody. And so I asked him, what you actually are looking for. And I mean, do you want to have a picture, how it looks to get it for your spouse, or what is it actually looking for whom it is? Can I put your appointment in the end of the week, in the beginning of the in the morning, in the evening? So all kind of skills I brought out. And he said, "No, no, I would like to know if I can come by and smell on your feet." I was like, ah. So I was quite confused, and and I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what you mean by smelling on your feet. How much would that cost?" I was like, "Okay, I don't know if I'm having this service." And he kept going, like he would not just leave me from the hook in the end. He's like, yeah, I can pay you $200. I mean, euros in that case, 200 euros if I can smell on them and rub myself on them. And if I'm allowed to rub all over my body, I even can pay you 500 euros. And I was like, kind of, kind of trying to get out of this car somehow. And even I tried to turn him around for to convince to get this actually done for one of his female friends or people in his family. But yeah, anyway, it was the I was having this call somehow ended, and you have to understand also some people sitting around me because I had really a tiny home studio. So my future customers were sitting there to listen to this awkward story. A little land side on the land on the countryside. This studio. Everybody was talking about that in the end, saying I'm having actually also an a food promotion, a special food promotion, and it just went out of range that some friend mayors came to me and said, "We heard about your story, Angela. You can go ahead, and we can be your foot pimps. So we sitting up in the in the living room. We're having our beer and watching out that you're just getting a good business done here." I was like, "No, guys, this is just the end. I just want to do manicure and pedicure. That's it." So I had quite overwork in this country area to actually, make a point that I was a serious entrepreneur. And 20 years later, I got actually, with all my sales skills, and a big company there, which is very renowned. And I got even awarded for my life achievement in that area because I was known through the Corona time who was actually digitalizing the whole beauty industry, because I was the first in Europe that started with training courses for the beauty industry about beauty. So yeah, that but the start of it, just imagine, yeah, they wanted to make a foot, whorehouse out of it, kind of. And I until then, I'm telling you guys, I don't know, but I never heard before there was something like foot prostitutes. I don't know if that is anybody who knows about that. I
I
didn't.
I'm laughing so hard that I have tears in my eyes right now because a lot of the conversation that I have with our consulting clients and our mentors and or mentees, I should say, is around time management. And one of the things I always say is, like, when you're figuring out what your time is worth, you have to figure out like how much money you made last year, main job, side job, and then I always make the joke of, like, even if you're selling pictures of your little piggies on the internet, selling foot pics, like that's still
It
time and
is.
energy you're spending to make money. So you have to add that together. And it's so funny to me because, like, there are people out there that will spend a lot of money for pictures of feet and do weird things for feet, and this just brought it full circle. So now anytime I say that and people don't laugh, I'm gonna send them this podcast and be like, listen, no, I had a lady who literally told a story about someone that wanted to rub on her feet. And like,
Yes,
there's so many layers to this, Angela. I absolutely love the story. I love your willingness to actually share it, because this is what happens as an entrepreneur, especially when you're
totally.
in sales. You find a product, you find a service, and ultimately you deal with some crazies from time to time, and you're put on the spot, and you have to handle objections, and sometimes you have to handle very strange customers.
Yes.
And so what I'd be curious to know, as you've gone through the beauty industry, and you created these courses and you become renowned for helping others learn how to start their own beauty business, essentially, and kind of build things up from there, what was the shift for you that made you decide, like, hey, I've built this business, and now I'm going to go and teach others how to do the same kind of thing? Because that's like an
Yeah.
interesting shift to go through.
Yeah, that is. For me, it was always about scaling. And that's where I'm actually today. I'm training people or other industries as well how to scale. So detach labor from the factor time. And I remember when I have shifted from my small itty bitty basement beauty salon into a huge area. I was brave enough to rent an old school, which was a school area where it was like kind of, I don't know, 600 square feet, square meters big, and I had on one side in a studio with 15 working spaces, so I employed 15 people, and on the other hand I was training people because I was always looking for something how to shift the revenue. So first I thought, okay, to multiply my workforce, I have this work, I have these processes, I have all this structure done. Now I just need to bring in new people, more employees to shift. But I really quickly understood that if I'm scaling in that kind of matter, I'm scaling also the costs, and I found this ugly. But I needed this business to prove others that I was training that exactly what I'm talking about, it's functioning. So I actually then again detached my labor from factor time and had training courses with which I earned much more than with a single nail set. So I had that shift as well. And later on, when Corona hit our beautiful planet here, I was shifting my whole business around and could actually use this digitalization that I had 2 years before initiated. Everybody was laughing about me back then. Ha 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 ha. Nobody can do a beauty business, learning only by internet, I mean, by online courses and so on. And at that time, a lot of people around me understood what I did, and big companies came to me and said, we want to have exactly that same online academy. We want to have these training courses. And in the middle of Corona, actually, after the first week, I had really major big companies that paid me a huge amount of money to actually get this done. And so I could shift the whole beauty workspace in terms of treatment with actually my training courses. And even though I was doing all these training courses and then online, I was thinking this is just nuts. And I was thinking again and a little bit farther, because when I first did permanent makeup, exchanged my time with money, I had also a scaling point, because permanent makeup, for example, is much more a ticket price of a nail set. And then I exchanged my time for that in in exchange of the bigger money. But when I then had in the Corona this consulting business build it up, I did not do much better, because I only exchanged my time for the consulting, and I was trapped in a Zoom jail, as I'm calling it. All day I was sitting there 8 hours, like sitting and saying the same thing over and over. And it fulfilled me really to bring this to the people. But in the end, I was thinking there must be a match. And I saw all these, one to many constructs and concepts around me, but somehow it just didn't. And now here comes something for all the sales experts out there, something very insightful. I suppose for me it was. I was not able to think that I could do in my industry one to many mentoring, because I had this this subconscious incompetence. I'm calling this subconscious incompetence, that you transport your own doubts towards your clients, and that had happened. And by then I was thinking, okay, I need to have a mentor, and I was going into a one to many program, and only about that, only that I went into this program had shifted totally my mindset, that I was sitting literally on Christmas Eve until New Year's. In that time span, all and everybody is so open and so, kind of ready for change. I was sitting there literally. I told my husband and the kids, you have to do this yourself. I have an idea. I'm calling all my leads. I'm calling the damn leads. And I was
Come on.
sitting there literally and I was closing. I was closing 12 leads within 4 days between this holiday season, and each of them was a ticket size of $10,000. I mean, or euros in that case, it's almost the same. So I was coming home having my, just like kind of, yes, I really scaled. And just imagine from my foot story and a single pedicure set to 12 people in a mentoring program. Yeah.
I love this on so many levels. Like, this is, I wish we had more time to chat through this. I know we're limited, and we're going to get into a couple more things here, but there's so many layers because that shift in the mindset between
Yeah.
I have to do it everything one to one, nobody can do it as good as I can, right? When you're scaling a team, when you're training people, and then the realization that your time is your most valuable asset, and understanding how can I maximize my time while still getting the fulfillment, helping more people, and that one to many process. When you can shift out of that or shift out of the one to one and go to one to many, the scaling becomes almost infinite. Now, there's still a level at which it has to be kind of an intimate relationship or people don't
Yes.
appreciate it as much.
Mhm.
However, I think it's so cool to hear how you basically started from, let's just say, nothing, not nothing, but like kind of ground zero, if you will, and
Yeah.
you went through every step of the process. And as you went through those steps, you started creating a routine, a training. You hired, you delegated, and you realized that you were able to spend your time, energy, and effort on the things that brought the most value, not just to you, but to the people that you were working with. And so, like,
Exactly.
what exactly is, I know you run an entrepreneurial family office. Like, what is that exactly? How does that work?
Yeah. Today I have actually a family office that have different projects in which I do exactly the same. I'm putting basically the mirror up for this entrepreneur. So, for example, I have a dentist in my clientele who is actually scaling his clinics. Is literally the same blueprint from my beauty industry, just with the different factors. But also, told to my client, you are gluing your buttocks to the chair every day because you think you are the only dentist out there. But how about you scale this and you help other doctors to actually do what you do? And now we produced
Mm.
a mentoring one to many program. And so some different clients like that I have, and different projects. I have a newspaper, a magazine, that as a client they want me to scale this in UAE. Real estate agents is here. It's not. It's really about selling. I'm training them. So there are different projects that I'm actually taking under my wing, under my roof, and scale it with the client, for the client. And often it ends up that I'm involved in that project so much that I'm having a partial potential and a cut out of it, and invest also in some little small things. That's something that it's a family office. Yeah.
I think that's super cool. Now, one of the things that I've, kind of the cliche sayings that exists out there is the riches are in the niches. And so,
Hmm.
how do you tailor your overarching process to make sure that even if they're in the different industries, right? You have a dentist, you have a newspaper magazine, you have real estate agents, like those are three very different business models. How do you structure your process to make sure that it fits for each of them accordingly?
Yes, of course, the subject is different, the target audience is different, but what is literally always the same through all my businesses is the value chain. You always have to make it simple for the client to get in contact with, build up the trust, not like in Wolf of Wall Street, and just, struck them down on the phone and just don't let them get off. That they only have one chance to say yes, but you build up the trust with it. You build up the value of the product that you have, and with it you build up the time frame in which you actually bind your client, and with that you build up even much more recommendations, so you have a referral business as well. That is actually nurturing your business for new clients that you do not have to call cold. I think out of this position in this time of our world, we do not have to make cold calling anymore with all the techniques that you have actually available. It's not to spend your time and your energy about that. There are so many things that which you can avoid of cold calling. I mean, if you want to have it the rough way, you can also go to McDonald's and ask for a bunch of sushi. That's also some good training for that. And yeah, uh, and that is actually the same thing for each and every business. And I have different structures. I'm working with the business model canvas to actually structure the concept of what needs to be done, the action as followed, and most important is the value chain. To just a lot of entrepreneurs, they think this is the one product that I have. This needs to be, let's say, a coaching that needs to be $10,000. And who in the world? I just had I love this thing, funnel hacking, and I'm hacking in some funnels, and then I have just to see how others were working it. Have this lady on my call, and she was telling me how beautiful my journey is, and I should buy with her now and a coaching of 3 months for $10,000. And I did not know actually what was wrong with her, because how can she think by the first contact that I have with her, not knowing at all what she's working, what's the outcome, no testimonies, how can she possibly think that I will pack out my purse for $10,000? I mean, this is just yeah. And if you know about that and undergo a little bit with patience the customer journey in the shoes of the customers, I think, and then you can build up a structure for each and every product, because I think it's all, when it comes to selling, it's all about leading your client with a good determination and with a very good equivalent eloquence towards a goal. And a lot of people, they are thinking selling is something, toxic, and all these kind of unpositive thoughts. But I think selling is such a service, because you give actually your client such a shortcut to get better to know better actually the product that they should go for. And for that, you need to learn from you, from others, maybe from me, anybody. Yeah.
No, I love this because there's definitely been a big shift in the market of people who just have the idea that if they just make offers all day long, and they just try to pitch every single person that they talk to, that they're going to make all this money. And while it can work, it's a volume game. And a lot of times when you're just pushing people to buy something without setting the expectation, without really helping to understand, are they even going to be a good client to work with? Because not everybody's
I'm
going to do
telling
the
you.
work. And
Yes,
so it's so interesting to me to see how there's this whole group or like culture of people that just want to sell everyone. And I love your mentality around, let's get to know each other. Let's make sure there's
yeah,
no weird foot smelling stuff going on here. Let's just have a real relationship. And ultimately your biggest goal is, can I help this person achieve the goal that they have in their mind? And if so, can I be 100% confident in delivering on that conversation? And so, like, I'm sure, Angela, we could nerd out on this for hours and hours and hours. I want to be
definitely.
respectful of your time. And also, I know that this is just one of many conversations you or I are gonna be having, because I'm excited to chat with you more off the podcast as well. But how do we come find you, follow you, check out more of your amazing content? Because I'm sure this is just a small blip in all the
Yes.
stuff that you're putting out there.
Yeah, you find me on Angel Success Consulting, and soon I'm gonna have also an own podcast which calls the Skillionaires, and I'll be more than happy if your clients or if you the listeners, not the clients, but your audience might be having a little side journey towards this podcast. Yeah, that's an heartfelt project for me. It will be launched in the beginning of October. Yeah.
I love that. I will be sure that we put the links to everything down in the show notes so they can check out your website, check out the podcast. I didn't even know you had a podcast, so now I'm going to have to go check that out and listen to it because, again, I think this has been one of my favorite conversations, and I've had hundreds of interviews, Angela, so, like, don't take that
Oh,
lightly. This
I
was very,
feel
very
blessed.
fun, very
Thank you.
insightful, and I know anybody who's listened to this, there's at least one or two gems that they can take out of this and really use to grow and scale and take themselves to this next level. So I just want to say thank you again for being with us.
Sure. Thank you. And thank you to the audience. See you next time.
Absolutely. You guys know what to do now. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you go check out Angela. Send this episode to someone you know who needs to hear it, especially the funny part in the beginning. Maybe somebody sucks at sales or they're the ones that are out there just like hard pitching every single person. Like, send it to them too. Let them know, like, you don't have to live that way. There's a better way. And more than anything, make sure you subscribe. Go check out all the other episodes. Leave us a review if you enjoyed it. If you have a great sales story, maybe you've got something similar. Maybe you've got something completely crazy and off the wall that you think people would appreciate. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your details. We'd love to have you on the show. We'd love to learn more about your crazy story and all the value that you can bring to the sales community. Because once again, this is the greatest job on earth. So I appreciate you guys. You know what to do next. Go call the damn leads. We'll see you on the next one.